Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's a great honor to be standing here to talk to you this evening about our cybersecurity portal. First of all, I'd like to thank the Victory officers for providing one of the nicest presentation spaces in the city and for co-sponsoring this event. Thank you very much. I'd also like to extend a huge thank you to Trend Micro, who've been on this roadshow with us in Perth, Sydney, and last but not least in the wonderful weather of Melbourne tonight. And also, most importantly, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. It wouldn't be an event tonight if it wasn't for you, so thank you very much. I won't steal too much of the limelight. I'm usually up here talking, and I think by now people are sick of me, so I'm going to hand straight over to Akash, who's going to talk to you about our cybersecurity portal and what we have to offer.
Yeah, good evening everyone. I'm Akash from TMC. Firstly, thank you everyone for coming for today's event. Today's event is all about TMC Cyber Portal as well as Trend Micro Security Solutions. Now let's look at TMC Cyber Portal. So TMC Cyber Portal is a self-aware application helping organizations to educate the end users about cyber attacks as well as also assess their current IT environment and look exactly how capable they are to sustain from any cyber attacks. Now the entire motto of the TMC Cyber Portal application is to build the cyber aware culture into the organization as well as reduce the attacks at the earliest. And now before looking into the application, now let's look at few facts about cyber attacks. Now the 90% of cyber attack occurs due to the human error, and there is also a saying that attackers attack people, not the computer, and this is where the TMC Cyber Portal comes into picture, as the entire motto of this application is to educate the end users about cyber attacks, security breach, and if the end user is educated about the cyber breach, then it could be avoided at the earliest. And there are also some facts like 60% of the businesses have experienced one or the other type of security breach in the last 6 months, and there are also some surveys done and with the fact saying that 50% of the small scale industries who have experienced cyber attack have gone out of business as they were not able to cope up with the attack, and hence they were out of the business. Now in order to understand exactly how the attacker attacks the organization, few years back, the attackers were sending dummy phishing mails to the law firms in the state of Queensland, and one of the law firm in the Gold Coast clicked on the phishing mail sent by the attacker, and somehow the attacker was able to get an access to his system. And also this law firm was dealing with property settlements and was also responsible for making the transactions to the property sellers. And this is where the attacker observes that most of the times the law firm makes the payments to the property sellers at the end of the week, and when the property seller made the request for the payment, those mails was intercepted by the attacker, made the changes into the account details and send it across to the end user who is responsible for making the transaction. As the end user is not aware about the security breach going into the market, he just made the payment and the money was gone. And this is where if the end user is educated about what to look for into the security breach, then this could be avoided at the earliest. Now let's look at the services that have been provided by the TMC Cyber Portal. So TMC Cyber Portal provides two services, that is Cyber Aware Business and Cyber Aware People. In the Cyber Aware Business, it helps organizations to analyze their current IT environment and security posture, as well as give them a report and also provide them the checklist how to overcome those problems. Now in the Cyber Aware People, the entire motto over here is to build the cyber aware culture into the organization. So the cyber aware people help the organization to to show the end users what to look for into emails, as well as teach them how to tackle if they get some phishing mails. Now let's look at each service little bit in detail. So now the cyber aware business offers a health check feature to the organization, where the management of the organization answers set of questions which covers all the sections of the IT systems. And there are questions like, do you have a cyber insurance? Do you have any disaster management strategies? Do you have a centralized control system? And how often do you talk about cyber security into the organizations, and so on. So trying to cover each and every section of the IT system, and based on that, based on the results of the questions, it provides an organization with a dashboard which helps organization to visualize which are the sections which have more chances of experiencing risk. So it helps organization to analyze exactly which are the areas where there are more chances of the risk. For example, over here we can see that in the cyber, in the network part, there are more chances of experiencing any risk through the network part. So it may be that the organization has a limited budget for the security. So they can first look after the network security part in order to overcome the problem related to that. And based on the results of the health check, it also provides a program to the organization which the organization can go through, where it provides the solutions, what steps they need to take in order to overcome the problems. And this is where we use Trend Micro, their solutions, where the organization can use their solutions and overcome the problems that they have currently. Now the entire motto of this cyber aware business is to provide the roadmap to the organization, also helping them to look after different areas of the securities. For example, if the organization wants to improve security related to their emails, then what are the checklists that they need to look after in order to overcome any problems related to the emails. And it provides different solution based on the different sections of the IT systems. Now let's look at the second service that has been offered by the TMC cyber portal, that is the cyber aware people. Now the cyber aware people offers three main features, that is the awareness material, phishing simulations, as well as the training. And over here we provide the organization with a set of posters that the organization can put in a common area where there are more chances of end users looking after it and be aware of what are the things that, what are the steps that they need to look after in order to overcome the problem. For example, there are many types of posters available for good password hygiene, how to look for the phishing attacks, and so on. Now, in the spear phishing simulation, we built the phishing campaign for the organization based on their requirement. And this campaign is run automatically every month for a span of 3 to 6 months, depending upon the organization's requirement. And the entire motto over here is to see how much aware the user is about the phishing attacks. And in order to make it more realistic, we keep the phishing emails geographic specific. That means that, for example, if an end user in Australia may be getting a particular set of emails, for example, he gets ATO emails, Netflix emails, for example, it may not be same, for example, someone in the US. So we try to keep it area specific as well, so that the end user is aware of how exactly the things go in the Australia. Now, we also provide the training to the end user over here, and we try to encourage the user to take the training by providing certificates, by organizing the competition between the departments, in order to aware the people about cyber aware. And we also make sure that the content for the training is not more than 4 minutes, so that we can grab more and more attention of the end user. Now this application is offered on the subscription base. So depending upon the customer's requirement, the customer can go for one of these the type, and it costs from $1 to $4 per user per year, and depending upon the customer's requirement, you can select the mode. Now, in order to have a successful cyber aware journey, there are 7 steps involved into it. The first step is the discovery session, where we try to understand the customer's requirement and expectations in terms of the cyber security, and based on that we build their phishing and training campaign for them. And we also connect the end users to the staff management system, so that the entire campaign can run automatically every month, so nobody has to look after it. And we also give them initial test to see how each user is aware of the security threats in the and we also provide the training based on the results which we get from the test. And every month we do a review of the end user, so that we get to know what is the progress of each individual end user, and depending upon that we can provide him the training. Now in the last phase we do 3 months review. Now the entire motto of the 3 months review is to check where exactly the organization stands now compared to what it was earlier. So what are the improvements that have been done, what are the more improvements that needs to be done, so that we can make the campaign more effective. And this is what we do in this part. Now let's look at a short demo of how exactly the application looks. Yeah, so now the application, as I mentioned in my presentation, it offers 2 services, that is the cyber aware business and cyber aware people. So in the cyber aware business, it provides the organization to check their current IT environment. So these are the set of questions like do they have any cyber security policies, do they have cyber insurance, and so on. So based on this question, it generates a dashboard, and the dashboard looks like this, and it gives the organization how exactly, what are the chances of the risk in terms of each section. So for example, if we wanted to see what are the strategies that needs to be taken in order to reduce the chances of experiencing risk through security, like how they can improve their password. So we can look into it by just clicking on it. Then it shows us what are the guidelines that they need to follow in order to overcome this problem. Not only that, it also provides the vendors that they can use to overcome that problem. And this is about the cyber aware business part. And now let's look at the cyber aware people, where in the first feature that has been provided is the phishing simulation, where every month we send them phishing dummy emails. Say for example, in the month of April we are sending them a company event notice, and it looks similarly like this. So you can't make out whether it's a legit request by the company or whether it's a fake one. So this is how exactly the phishing mail looks like. Now we can also manage it as per the company requirement. So this can be customized as per the requirement. And there are set of templates available that the organization can use depending upon their requirements as it's. And yeah, these are the posters which are available for the organization that the organization can use. Like this is one poster available, this is one poster available, and so on. So that is all from my side. Now Adam will continue the presentation with the Trend Micro slides.
Thanks, Akash.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Trend Micro are pretty excited to form a partnership with Migration Company. So as Akash mentioned about the Cyber Aware program and giving and assisting organisations with their security posture through health checks and so forth. And part of that strategy is to talk about what kind of security or mitigation controls can be implemented to help reduce the risk in your organisation, particularly when the migration company is helping people migrate, or organisations migrate from on-premise into the cloud. So at Trend Micro, we've been around for over 30 years. My name's Adam Bradley. I'm a senior sales engineer. I've been with the company almost 8 years. My colleagues, Eddie Duckworth, Simon O'Brien are here as well with Marcel. Can help organisations and partners to look at security strategies, look at understanding where their pain points and issues, and through our experience in the last 30 years, to be able to help organisations exchange data safely globally. So we're headquartered out of Japan, assisting a lot of entities, whether it be small business, right up to enterprise and the consumer space as well. So the idea with Trend Micro is we have the ability to help these organisations and then to introduce our technologies and our latest detective and preventative technologies to combat those sophisticated threats. So whatever weaknesses or exposures that the organisations may have, using the technology that we've innovated, invented, patented over time to help give that clear visibility of where threats are coming in, how you can prevent, how you can detect these vulnerabilities. One of the key aspects of our over 6,000 employees is that Trend Micro invests a lot in R&D, threat research. So 40% of our workforce is R&D. So we have a lot of R&D centres across the globe, and using that time, investment into that technology and understanding threats and the power of their smart protection network, our global cloud sensors, to introduce technologies to combat those sophisticated threats. So we started with anti-malware, DLP, application whitelisting, through to now machine learning, pre-execution runtime, to look at those suspicious behaviours. EDR, now a buzzword, and sort of getting an understanding of what, when, how and why. And then the ransomware protection, that was the flavour of the year a couple of years ago with threat actors. So as you see, we not only investigate in threats that compromise organisations, but we also look at OT networks as well as the IT corporate networks. So if the migration company do assist with security awareness programs and health checks through utilities, energy companies and so forth, a good relationship with Trend Micro can help with looking at the visibility and security posture of OT networks as well. We work closely with healthcare industries, the law enforcement, to gather intelligence and to share that threat intelligence with those vendors as well, those third-party industries. And then we're proactively targeting more on the vulnerability side. We've seen a lot of data breaches happen across the year or two. Some scenarios, some examples have been the Equifax breach, the attacks on the NHS with the Hospital Institute in England with the WannaCry attack. So threat actors are being cunning to know what applications, infrastructure they have, and then trying to exploit that. So Trend Micro's zero-day initiative institutes a bug bounty program where independent researchers come to us to disclose vulnerabilities. So for example, that Equifax breach, it was based on an Apache Struts vulnerability, which is a hole in a Linux platform, a Linux-based application that they got root access to through that vulnerability, then started to laterally move. So the idea is to give more of our partners and customers visibility of those types of attacks and what to do about it. Just to highlight, a third-party analyst did vulnerability research, and our zero-day initiative is a leader in this space. So again, being proactive in this space to educate our partners and customers. And over time, as you can see, we're discovering more vulnerabilities. Our bug bounty program is becoming quite effective. So we work closely with Microsoft, Adobe, Oracle, SCADA manufacturers to give them visibility. These are the vulnerabilities. Can you please look at them? And at that time, we're securing our customers, providing them mitigation controls through our virtual patching capability, so shielding the vulnerabilities until you wait for the vendor to send you the proper patch to close those holes. So Trend Micro is assisting customers to operationally help them from a patch management process and a vulnerability management process. So through this, the first initiative is the hybrid cloud initiative. So our solution, Deep Security, is an agent-based, host-based solution. So the idea is that we are finding that 90% of customers are securing on-premise, 20% of our customers are securing infrastructure in the cloud, and 15% of customers are securing containers. So we're starting to see a shift on how organisations run services, deploy services. They're starting to hire developers in-house to build applications and to release live to market, so they can generate a service or generate revenue for them, for the company. So the idea, we saw the shift from physical to virtual and now into the cloud, container and serverless space through those cloud providers that migration companies have expertise in, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and again, understanding when you're migrating from on-premise into cloud, what kind of applications you want to release publicly, what data you're holding, and that data that is your data, the company's data, how can we secure that? So here's an example of just a dashboard of our solution where this can be hosted anywhere in the cloud or on-premise, and you can see on the left-hand side connectivity to the different infrastructure. So this could be an example of one organisation who's got a hybrid cloud data centre, so some workloads on-premise in their physical data centre and also in the cloud. So we've got a VMware vCenter infrastructure there, some AWS accounts have been attached, Azure and Google. So we are finding, as we talk to organisations out there, that they will have a mix, or they're starting to think about cloud and go cloud, and get the ability to be able to provide services, generate revenue a lot quicker, and the cloud is the appetite. One of the key things with this solution is asset management, so visibility, whatever workloads is being spun up, that whole critical data, you'll be able to get visibility straight away, whenever you connect it through vCenter, Active Directory, or the cloud connectors. And the other aspect is getting visibility of what platforms you're using, Windows, Linux, etc. Are they being managed from a security point of view, etc. And what kind of security controls you can implement. So we have a strategy. So my company Cloud Consultants can talk to you guys about, okay, when we're shifting your assets to the cloud, what about security and thinking about security? When we talk to cloud providers, about cloud providers, we talk about the shared responsibility model, meaning that the underlying technology is being supported by the cloud service provider, but your applications and data that you're hosting are responsible for yourselves, so you need to secure it. And the migration company will tell you that. So the idea, so we can cover across many different platforms. The security controls we can implement from a physical server, virtual or cloud workload is intrusion prevention, host-based intrusion prevention. That's in association with a vulnerability scanner, so we can scan the servers to find what vulnerabilities are exposed. CVEs are listed. So if you're running a Windows platform, are you exposed to SMB exploit for WannaCry, etc. Application control, locking down infrastructure, servers, only run approved executables or scripts. Integrity monitoring, looking at behavior changes, who modified files on a server, who's modified a registry, who's modified a service on the servers, and the advanced malware. So looking at introducing the signature-based behavioural analysis ransomware detection, as well as the machine learning. And then as we move into the DevOps landscape, we talk about containers, Docker, Kubernetes. So quite easy to spin up an application and release it to runtime. So it's live to market for the organisation. So we need to have visibility. The developers or the DevOps team err on the caution of security because it might slow down their pipeline, slow down their release times, and it could cost the business money. But with Trend Micro, we're starting to educate developers on how to implement security in a frictionless way so that it's not going to slow down the process. So we could provide similar security controls on the container platform, so the host, the Docker host, and the containers themselves as well. So getting visibility. So there are threats that are starting to appear in that developer DevOps space. Scenarios could mean we've seen in the past Docker images are being compromised. They get downloaded by developers who are reusing those application images for their purpose, but they've got backdoors in them that could be mining Bitcoin. So once they release the application with the compromised Docker image, they could be using that as a different purpose to what it potentially is meant to be doing. We've got some other technologies coming in down the road this year. Application security, something that I've starting to hear through organisations, enterprises, talking about how applications behave with one another, like an application talk to a database. Also talking about serverless. If you've heard about AWS Lambda, Azure Functions, so running services without VMs or any Windows or Linux platforms. It's all about API calls and services. This will reduce cost to the business because they don't have to spin up VMs or hosts or anything like that. So application security is starting to make a rise this year. And then finally, the cloud IPS as well for AWS. So we have full stack protection, full visibility. So when the migration company is talking to yourselves, the prospects and organisations, the consultants will talk about security and what we can do, and Trend Micro can come and help and assist the migration company. We talk about DevOps. So again, shifting security left to the build pipeline means that it's great runtime protection while the workload's serving a purpose for the business, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. But security in the pipeline means that if you're going to have the developers build their applications internally, make sure you need to validate the code they're using. Are they reusing code from elsewhere? The code they're using, is it from, have outdated dependency packages? So there could be compromises there or evidence of a malware source. So if you bake in security at the beginning of an application build, when you remediate the situation down the end, it's going to be less cost prohibitive, meaning that if you don't have security in your pipeline and it releases in production, something breaks, something gets compromised, it's going to cost the business time and money. So if you sort it out early in the application build pipeline, then the developers can fix it then and there, and then when it's released into runtime, then you won't have to worry about security because security is baked into it, and then you've validated the developers that are building the applications for the business are doing it properly and they're using the right code. The other aspect the migration company deals with is migration of email platforms from on-premise Microsoft Exchange to Office 365. So the idea is Office 365 is a great technology. Organisations and their employees access their email wherever their device, wherever they are in the world. They can access files through OneDrive or SharePoint Online and so forth. So the idea is that we need to also give visibility through Akash and his cyber aware program. He mentioned about spear phishing campaigns, getting security awareness of your posters in the organisation, what not to click and so forth. Again, the evidence of people being not aware of these types of threats can cost and lead to loss of money, reputation for companies and so forth. So business email compromise attacks are quite prevalent still. CE fraud, so threat actors are mimicking as a CEO to why I say to the CFO, can you wire transfer some money? Supply swindle, fake invoices being sent to the procurement team or whatever. Can you pay this? We need to get this out, get the product purchased, etc. And account compromise. We're also starting to hear that it's great that users can log into their email Office 365 accounts to check their email, but they could come in contact with fake Office 365 landing pages. So again, that's a way a threat actor can harvest credentials of employees, and then they can log into it and wreak havoc and so forth. So it's important that through the security awareness programs, just to look at those URLs and what they're clicking on and where the emails are coming from. So yeah, difficult to detect. Sometimes it can be a target attacks where there might be no attachments to URLs. You need to be mindful of that. So I mentioned about the fake landing pages. This is an example where they've received maybe an email to say to log in to the Office 365 environment to read this email. It could be a dodgy URL and so forth. Also, part of the user behaviour is changing that when they're attaching files, they could be attaching files and uploading to OneDrive. So getting visibility, what kind of documents are being uploaded? Are they sharing it between external parties? Are they sharing it between colleagues internally? So we need to have a visibility of what documents are being uploaded, because once they download it onto an endpoint and they double click on a PDF, malicious PDF, it could be making a command and control call out to a server and then start downloading ransomware payload to encrypt. So we need to be mindful of those types of activities. So that's the OneDrive screen. So with Trem Micro and how we can assist the migration company putting forward a solution for the migrations company's customers, is that we have Email Security Advanced, the Email Perimeter Gateway solution, and the Cloud App Security integration. So the Email Security Advanced, so both are hosted in the data centers in Australia, so for data sovereignty point of view, or if you prefer the peace of mind that data still remains in country, then we do meet that requirement. So the email gateway provides business email compromise, advanced threat detection, data loss prevention. So data loss prevention is starting to pop up, particularly around the mandatory breach notification laws now in Australia. So from a compliance point of view, DLP would also help businesses making sure they prevent any data breaches. And also from a compliance point of view, email encryption. So email encryption is part of the Email Security Advanced solution, where if you're dealing with government agencies, military or whatever, and you want to send confidential information via email, email encryption can be one way of doing that. With the Cloud App Security integration, this is more to do with what's happening within the Office 365 environment. So Trem Micro and Microsoft have teamed up to provide an extra layer of protection. We've got given access to the API, so it's a hook into the Microsoft platform at the API level, so that it's all transparent to employees. So when you implement the solution, there's no shift of MX records or anything. It's run in the background. So once an email comes through the email gateway as a first layer of defense, it will come into the Office 365 mailbox. It'll get scanned there as well. So a defense in depth approach is really good. So once it's scanned in the Office 365 mailbox, we can provide business email compromise protections, DLP capabilities, and a new technology that we've released since last year called DNA writing style analysis. So what it can do is it can learn how emails are written. So we can target the CEO, IT manager, or the CFO. We can learn how they write their emails. So over 100, 200 emails. It understands how it writes it, where it puts bullet points, if they write in paragraphs, how do they sign off the email, etc. So based on this analysis, then we can determine if someone's trying to spoof or pretend or impersonate them as a CEO. So therefore we can differentiate based on the writing analysis of that email compared to a threat actor trying to mimic that person. So that's quite unique, that technology. We're about to release a patent for it. And the other one is the AI vision we use to detect compromised Office 365 landing pages for credential harvesting. So a couple of unique technologies that we're finding that are useful for organisations that can help go above and beyond what Microsoft Exchange Online Protection give to organisations. So for the fact that Microsoft will know about known malware, but what about the unknown and sophisticated attacks? And OneDrive and SharePoint Online, we will be able to scan internally as well. So whatever they're uploading, we'll do a scan into those repositories. So it's the best of both worlds when we're talking about Office 365, the ability to have full protection, because 95% of the threats out there come from email that we find in our analysis and our data. So therefore, if we can stop a lot of the threats from email sources, then you're going a long way to protect your company and your employees and so forth. So Cloud App Security and Email Security Advanced are a great solution with the email security side of things and the Office 365 platform. So we're protecting inbound, outbound through Email Security Advanced, detect internal threats, colleague to colleague, through Cloud App Security. We can respond and remediate. Again, a quick way of doing like a health check in Office 365, kick off a manual scan on all your mailboxes to see if there's any evidence of still mail in there from ransomware emails, any emails with URL sources that can go to a malware landing page, etc. And then finally, simplify compliance through email encryption DLP if you're sending out emails. Just to highlight some stats, top box is 2 companies that have Cloud App Security. After investing in Cloud App Security from Trend, it's discovering more threats on top of Microsoft Exchange Online Protection. Based on their plans, we're still catching stuff. So Microsoft still have implemented security, but we believe that using our technology to focus more on that unknown targeted attacks will help organisations to catch stuff. And from a third-party email gateway, we saw some customers that introduced that, plus their E3 plan, we're still catching stuff as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, 40% of our employees across the globe are R&D. We invest on what's happening out there in the threat landscape and innovating in new technologies. So, in just some key takeaways here. So, the migration company and Trend Micro working together, one to help securing your cloud migrations. So when you're talking about being more flexible and being more proactive for the business, the migration company and their cloud consultants can help with that transformation and laying that security with Trend Micro. Helping you address compliance needs. So again, if you're a government agency, if you're legal, or you do have specific compliance requirements or frameworks you need to adhere to, we can help as well with the migration company. Confidence and lift and shift. So again, have that confidence knowing that the applications and the data you bring in the cloud is going to be secure, and then there wouldn't be no compromises. So the migration company can give you an architecture on how to best, like in AWS, they have a well-framed architecture. So applying that, plus with heightened security, will go a long way to protect your applications and data. And finally, cyberware is key. So giving employees security awareness of the threats out there. Cash mentioned about that cyberware journey. Doing that security posture, how is it in the organisation, and giving employees awareness will go a long way to reduce that risk in your organisation. If there's any questions from a Trend Micro point of view, Marcel, Eddie and Simon at the back there can help you with any questions. But other than that, thanks for your time.